guys! So I got a ton of requests for doing a video about shaping your eyebrows. So I thought I would kind of show you how I shape mine. I'll show you the products I use as well as like some of the techniques. I always feel like that is the one thing that I do. Everybody has that like one thing, you know, whether it's lip gloss or a little bit of blush or a little bit of concealer. Mine is eyebrows. If I go outside without filling in my eyebrows, I just feel weird. I feel like I don't look like me. Eyebrows really frame your face, and they can also give you a little bit of a mini lift, especially in the outer edges of your face. And there's so many different shapes you can do for your brows. This is just one of them. I really wanted to emphasize that I think shaping your brows is so much more about how you fill them in as opposed to what you take away, meaning that plucking serves to kind of clean up the brow area. I think it's really important to leave some room there so that you can go in and add color and add shape without having to draw on your skin. So go light with the tweezers, everybody. Be careful. If you over tweeze this way, it's going to make your brows look smaller and make your forehead look bigger. If you over tweeze this way and you kind of get like a thin wispy line, it's going to make your brow bone look bulgier. Definitely not an effect you want to create. So anyways, I'm just going to jump right in, show you how I shape my brows. So if you want to see how I do it, keep watching. Some of you might already know this, but I feel like I'd be leaving out a big key point if I didn't include this in my video, so I'm just going to explain it really quickly. You can find out what your brow proportions are for your own individual face by using a makeup brush, and make sure you use like a relatively thin one. If you hold it to the side of your nose like this, just straight alongside your nose, you'll see where your brow should start, and as you can see, that's where mine begins. From this position, you would tilt it outwards until it runs through the outside of the colored part of your eye. And wherever that lands is where your arch should begin. When you go ahead and tilt it from there a little bit more so that the makeup brush runs from the bottom of your nose to the outside edge of your eye, wherever the end of the brush lands should be the end of your eyebrow. And the brush I'm using is actually just a Smashbox. It's a double-ended brush, and it's just a nice angled, like dense brush. Basically what I do to pluck my brows is just kind of comb through them to begin with. And you can see what I look like without my brows filled in. They're very sparse, they're very light blonde. Just take your tweezers. These are actually not Tweezerman tweezers. These are Revlon Expert. And what you really want to think about doing is kind of plucking around the general shape of the eyebrow. So you don't want to really try to achieve a perfectly straight line in the exact eyebrow that you want from plucking. Unless you have really dark, dense brows, you're never going to get a perfectly straight line. See how mine is kind of patchy in places? To achieve a sleeker look, you definitely want to make sure you trim the length. Brush them up using a spoolie brush like this one. And I'm pretty sure you can get these at any beauty supply stores. And mine are really trimmed. But if they weren't, what you would really see would be like spikies sticking out like that. Just take a little pair of scissors. These are mini ones. They just have a skinny end, so it's perfect for this use. And these are also Revlon scissors. I probably got these like in a set together, and most likely got them at CVS. And what you would want to do is just trim them down in a straight line that way. As for actually filling in the brow, and I'll show you what I do. First of all, if you're a blonde, you can go ahead and use a shade darker than your hair color, and I would suggest a cool brown for anyone. You can pretty much use a darker shade. I mean, this is significantly darker than my hair color, but by using a light hand with it, I get like one shade darker than my hair color. Another good one for blondes would be the color Concrete. If you're a brunette, I would suggest going a shade lighter. But that's just me, it's whatever your preference is. And the color I'm using is Mystery. Start by getting a little bit on the end of your brush. And you don't want a ton of color right here or on the outside of your brow, because it's going to make this look really heavy in here and just way too dark. So to avoid that problem, you want to start in the center. So you always start with the most color and product on your brush in the center of your brow, and that'll give you a nice kind of an airbrush look too by working from the center out. So I just start to fill in little areas that are sparse just to start off with. And this just basically gives you a basic brow shape. Nothing too fancy here. And you want to remember your arch actually starts from the outside. So don't try to fill in your arch like right here and make this part higher. If you want to accentuate that arch, pull from the outer edge. And you can just apply a little bit of product there. And when you get to the center, you can just turn your brush vertically to kind of define that inner edge. So far we're just kind of filling in the middle of our brow. We're not really doing much shaping. And then what we can do next is really start to get a nice accentuated curve. I really like to go for a more inquisitive looking eyebrow, meaning it's flat on the top, it has a little curve right here and then comes up. In order to get that shape, you need to remember that you can really get away with pulling this inner area down quite a bit. You definitely want to focus there less if you had less room between your lash line and your brow. If you have less lid space, you want to do this a little less, but like I said, you can play with that. And that kind of keeps your the inner portion of your brow grounded, so you don't get the dreaded like notch right here where your brow is kind of like notched right here and then it's just a thin line. By pulling down right here, it really kind of avoids getting that shape and it gives you a much more professional looking brow, I think. So that's the first place you can start to really get a nice shape. The second spot is the outside of the arch right here. And remember, like I said, the arch starts on the outside. So the more you kind of focus in this area and lift this up and kind of ground this part of your brow and pull it down, the more inquisitive of an expression you're going to get to your brow, and it's going to get like a curvier arch. And then for this top part, you can just kind of, the top of your eyebrow, you can just kind of make it a straight line. I just kind of keep repeating these steps until I get the kind of brow shape that I want. And then the other thing I like to do is, because an arch is definitely a curve, I don't really like when it comes to a right angle. I like to just run my brush over that area just really lightly with barely any product at all, just whatever's left. And it just smooths it out and makes it a little bit curvier there. And then I always go back with my brush and brush all the little hairs back into place. Now I want to show you a technique that I talked about in one of my videos. You can use 2 different shadows to fill in your brows. That might seem like a lot of work, but if you feel like you might get too dark of a brow or you're worried that that might happen, you can take a lighter color. You can either take, this is Concrete by MAC, and I would definitely stick to cooler browns in general when you're thinking about filling in your brows. It just gives you a nice neutral brow. A red toned brown is going to just like pop up from your face, and it's going to be the first thing people see when they look at your face. But I'm going to take this little bit of Concrete, and as you can see, it's not that much lighter, just a little bit lighter. In fact, you could even use, Wedge, I think would work really nicely too. And only really just focus it on the outside. And like I said, this is if you have trouble with like getting your brow too dark, you might want to try doing this. You're not going to notice a huge difference, but I just think it's nice to blend it out with the lighter color. I think the most noticeable spot where you see this difference is in the inner corner. It makes for kind of like a nicer fade. And this is great for just kind of accentuating that tail and pulling it out very lightly. And I just brush through it again. And another thing you can do if you want to is you can use a shimmery cream shadow. That sounds kind of weird, but it gives you a really nice finish. It gives you kind of a shiny finish, which actually looks pretty natural on the brow. The only thing is with that, I kind of have a hard time finding shimmery cream shadows that are cool browns. A lot of times you'll find a ton of them that are warm, but it's hard to find a good cool shimmery shadow. So to set that, I just use a clear mascara. Brow gels are great as well. I just like clear mascara, and this is the Maybelline Great Lash, and it is a little dirty. I definitely need to get a new one soon, but I'll just show you, just like lightly brush through. And these work to really make your brow look nice and sleek. Trimming the length on our brow with our scissors really made it so much easier to fill in. You just have less there, so it looks like less 3D, and it's just a lot sleeker. So this is like my biggest tip. My brows get harder to fill in when I haven't trimmed the length in a while. And I'm just going to step back so you can kind of see the difference. Such a big difference, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I've gone ahead and filled in the other side. Another thing I wanted to mention was the way that I actually hold my brush. I hold it towards the outside, and it really allows you to make short, light, flicking motions, and that really helps you too, so that you don't go overboard and make your brows too dark. If you held it towards the bottom, you'd really be literally drawing them on, and it would be a little maybe too dark. So that is pretty much it. I hope you guys found these tips to be helpful. I really do appreciate each and every one of my subscribers for watching. It means the world to me that you tune in to my channel. So until next time, I will talk to you guys soon.